So Dean, if I had to introduce you, what would I say about you?
I mean, where would you start? The love of your life, your right-hand guy, the man behind the man, the Chuck D to your Flavor Flav. I mean, where do we begin?
Yeah, no, that's great. That pretty much says it. So this is everyone. This is D Jackson. Welcome to the I Love Marketing Live. We're going to do a hot seat today. We got Paul Monaco, who has a golf business, and one of the things that we're going to attempt to do is share some strategies and ideas about how he can build and grow his business. Unless, Paul, it's something different from when this conversation with you first took place. When me and you shot a little video at Genius Network, and I sent it over to Dean and said, let's have you as a guest. So Paul, if you, and here's what how I want to frame it. I'm going to have Paul explain who he is, what he does, and what he would like to have happen. If he could like wave a magic wand, what would you love to have happen? Then we're going to go into it. But the way that Dean and I will talk about it is so it is as relevant to everyone that is here participating and watching, so that you can get ideas from this and things that you can hopefully apply into your own business and into your life. And so try to listen that way and listen from the frame of like, this doesn't apply to me, to how does this apply to me, and how can I utilize this, and we'll see how it goes. And if this is really beneficial and useful, then we will look at doing more of these. And so Paul, welcome, and great to see you. And who are you? What do you do? And what are you looking for? And let's figure out if we can make some magic happen today.
Sounds wonderful. Thanks, Joe, for having me. Dean, both of you guys are, I respect both of you guys immensely, and it's a real honor to be here. As a member of Genius Network for the past year, you've played with my head with this Alpha Biz part of it, easy, lucrative, fun. It's not that, it's very simple process, but it's not that hard. It's not that easy to do sometimes, it's that mindset change. Anyway, getting back, Paul Monaco, born and raised in Toronto. We have an e-commerce business that sells golf apparel and shoes. Our primary focus is in the off-price business in previous season. We don't sell hard goods. This year, we invested a lot more into inline goods. We have offices we have a website in Canada and a website in the USA, .ca and .com. And collectively, we probably do between the two of them around $5 million a year. Our biggest challenge, our number one challenge, is database growth. In 2019, we spent over $1 million in Facebook, and that was a zero-sum game. We've pulled back on all marketing investments of that nature to start. Are we there? Are we good?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yep.
Okay, good.
Occasionally we'll have people that'll make noise, which we apologize for. And by the way, if anyone's watching, if you're making noise in the background, please mute yourself. We'll do our best to do that. And occasionally we'll have hecklers that come in and they're super annoying and they will just make noise, and we do our best to mute those people. But those people will basically burn in hell. So if anyone does that, just that you're putting karmic annoyances out into the world. But yeah, so just carry on, please. Thank you.
So, we have a database of about 100,000, which we can't get past. We can't seem to get past that threshold. And our core specialty over the years has always been shoes. We've been strong in shoes. But with supply chain issues, inventories a little bit have been harder to get in the off-price world. So we've invested it into inline goods, which our margins are not as good. However, we still want to have the diversification of that category because we have customers that want those products. But again, our number one challenge is growing our database. It's been a nightmare to get past it because the churn of people unsubscribing and the amount of new subscribers is just a zero-sum game right now. So no matter what we do, we can't get past certain sales points, certain sales goals. So we believe that if our database was 500,000, our business would multiply.
I bet it would.
Yeah, it would, right?
If only there were 500,000 golfers.
Only if there were.
Yeah.
Well, there's two of us that I know of, Dean.
Right, exactly. That's funny.
So I think that's where the problem lies for us, and maybe I'm totally wrong.
I doubt it. One of the things, can I ask some questions about some of your metrics to see whether, maybe look at it from a different perspective here? How much of your business right now, you're familiar with the way we break things into before unit, during unit, and after unit, right? So in your situation, I would say that if we look at for the trailing 12 months, how much of the revenue that you generate right now comes from people who were on your list 12 months and 1 day ago, that have not new people to the list, because I'm going to ask you that next, but
Okay.
How many people I would consider your after unit to be the people who have bought. I'm talking about your customer list now, not your prospect list. We'll talk about that in the before unit, but your database of customers. Out of the 100,000 that you have total, how many of them are people who've bought from you?
So we have about 50,000 customers.
So half the people are customers. Okay.
And if I've answered your question correctly, we have a return customer rate of about 70%.
Okay. Now that's great. So that means that because golfers are golfers, and it's the kind of thing that is an itch that is never not itchy. I mean, there's perpetual. You need new shoes all the time, new stuff, new whatever. So that they're constantly itching. And when you've got that relationship with them, and they're you're a known quantity to them, it makes sense. So how much of the business, because we say of these things, 70% of the people who buy one time will buy again, is what I hear you saying when you say you've got a 70% return customer rate. But the number that I'm actually asking now is, of 100% of the revenue that you did in the last 12 months, how much of that came from people who are buying again, who are already existing customers, versus new people?
I'll try to answer this to you in this way. So a year and a bit ago, we introduced a membership program, which was you pay $29 a year, you get free shipping and free returns.
Perfect. Like Amazon Prime. Smart.
Amazon Prime.
Right.
So we have now up to, I think we're about 2,500 members. And of that membership base, Dean, it represents 33% of our revenue.
Perfect. That's really good to know.
If that's helpful.
Yeah.
The returning customer rate, it's 70% of our revenue comes from returning customers.
Perfect. That's good. That's what I want to know right there.
That's what it is.
Okay. And then of the remaining 70%, what do you do to drive that? What's the driver of the new business?
This is where we're challenged.
Okay.
We've done Facebook marketing before. We've done Google ads before and Google shopping. And now we just recently invested with, Kazam with regard to the, Google advertising again. But it's so early, but that's the first initiative that we've taken in the last 14 months.
What kind of ads are you running? Like, what's your objective with the ads? Are you advertising merchandise with a direct link for people to buy, or what? Sellers, that kind of thing?
Yes. So they are product specific for the most part for purchases.
Yes. So one of the things that I would suggest to you is, are you familiar with, in the hotel industry, they've got a driving metric called Revpar, which is revenue per available room. That's the standardized metric for the hotel industry to compare one hotel to another. So when I look at what you're basically doing, is you've got your business is primarily driven by your subscribers, by your email subscribers, right?
Yes.
And so you've got an asset of a list of, how many did you say, of both prospects and customers?
100,000.
100,000 people. So what I look at is calculating your revenue per prospect when you look at the, per available prospect, Revpar, I call it. So you would look at your $5 million total revenue that you generate, and that came from the 100,000 people. Everybody who bought is a subset of those 100,000 people this year, right? So you generate, somebody who's quick at math can maybe help with this, but if you have 100,000 people and you generated $5 million in revenue, that means that the yield on that asset was a number per subscriber, per email, per addressable prospect that you have.
I believe that's $50 a person.
So $50 per person per year. That's in the last 12 months, right?
Yes.
So when you look at this now, a real objective here is to take a different approach to the lead generation and separate the compelling from the convincing. The most valuable thing that you can do is build your list of golfers. Not necessarily that they need to buy, because everybody who buys is a subset of people who golf, right? And so rather than raise the bar high when you're doing the ads to present yourself to somebody for the first time, to show them what you've got, and that they have to buy something now to have that value. I would look at separating that and having your before unit objective with at least a portion of your revenue be to drive golfers on your list. Because if you can do that for something less than $50, the ROI on that is tremendous, right? So I would only be concerned with, if we look at the before unit, Profit Activator 1, select a single target market. You've got golfers, and we'll look at some of the, more granular flavors of those golfers. But Profit Activator 2 is about compelling people to raise their hand. We want to, you've got, when you're showing ads on Facebook, you're showing ads to invisible prospects. You don't know them yet, right? You're showing the ad to everybody who looks like they've got an interest in golf, but you don't know them yet. You haven't met them. They're not on your list. You can't address them specifically, right? So the objective that I would be looking at is looking at driving that list, of just growing the list of golfers. Now, I would bet that if we put our heads together, that you would be able to drive golfers onto a list for under $5 per person. And if you could do that, if you spent, how much did you say you spent on Facebook in the last 12 months?
Nothing in the past 12 months, but the previous time was $1 million in 1 year.
So if you imagine if you did $1 million and you for $5 got 200,000 extra subscribers, that would change the trajectory of your business, right?
Yes.
So when we look at that, and that was really only your, that was really only the first year. When we're looking at 1 year as $50 is the yield for that list. So when you get kind of out of the expense-based approach to advertising, which is what that is, where you're hoping to run the ad, get somebody to buy, and hopefully have a profit before the credit card bill is due at the end of the cycle. That's how people measure in this, traditional direct digital marketing world. That's like a home run. If you can have a self-funding kind of ad spend, that you get a return on your ad spend within 30, 60 days. But when you look at it, it's very sort of short-term thinking, because the real value, if you take the 5-year value of a email subscriber, if it's $50 a year, that it's $250, and you only have to pay to get them on the list one time.
Right.
So rethinking about it and making a capital investment in building the asset that is your list of, as of yet, unconverted prospects. Then making offers, and because your incremental cost to add 50,000 people to your list is marginal, very, very little. You're already preparing the emails. You're already sunk cost of the copy and the marketing and the team that's putting those together. It's not going to cost you any more to send to 50,000 more people than it is to send to 100,000 people, right? So all of that cost, all of that investment is front end loaded in building the asset. And now you can get even better at converting those prospects with, better and better offers. If you do it right, like if you start thinking about separating out the individual jobs of work that you're doing, like identifying and getting golfers to subscribe, building a list of golfers that then pay attention to your emails, if you're adding value to those things, that you're almost like creating a media property then that also has value, whether they buy from you or not, because adjacent to you, there are so many other things that people are going to buy that you don't necessarily even participate in. With a group of 100,000 people, you could be putting together with a partner, with a collaborator, trips to the greatest golf destinations in the world. You could be having a travel component of this where people get to, gather or come. You could create a golf league or a membership or something in the after unit where you're looking at building, deepening, nurturing those lifetime relationships with people. You've got so much potential there. But I don't want your head to spin so quick. We're only a few minutes. But how's that all landing? What are you hearing so far?
That resonates with me extremely well, Dean. And just to share one of the thoughts that we had come up with recently. Well, I mean, this has been like on the, in the background for a long time with regards to creating content to get people to subscribe. And one of the categories that we shine in is golf shoes. And to be really known as to do content around golf shoes, because I believe that as golfers, one of the products that we really need, help with is golf shoes. I mean, polo is a polo, but shoes, there's a lot more research and development, a lot more technology, and it's a little bit harder for consumers to decipher which is the best for them. And I thought we could help them, make those decisions whether they buy from us or not. Because that's where our expertise is in shoes.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And I think that's awesome. Like thinking that way of really thinking about the ways that you can add value to people, or the different topics that you could write about. How often do you email them?
Our database, we email like 2 to 3 times a day with offers.
Nice. Okay, look at you.
Yeah.
You only mail on the days you want to make money. That's the general rule.
And that is so true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong following Amazon's lead.
But I'd love to hear your feedback in regards to like picking, like, is that a viable plan to pick a category within our field, within our industry, and be the experts at that one specific category?
I mean, you look at, have you heard of Wayfair.com?
Yes.
So, before they were Wayfair, they built 270 individual category brands. They started out doing with all barstools.com, and everything that they sold was bar stools. They totally built that out. Then they got, speaker racks, and then
Wow.
everygrandfatherclock.com and ottomanempire.com, and all of these things where they went and single focus on each individual market. They got them all up, each a standalone, the Procter & Gamble model, right? Procter & Gamble has 23 individual billion-dollar brands that are all independent of each other, right? And so you look at that, that's how the shoe market is a viable market. The golf club market is a viable, the putter market, the travel market, all of it is are all viable, because you can build a pretty amazing footprint that way for the people who are seeking those things. But they all would be a subset of people who are in the grand category of golfers.
Agreed. Because if you're buying shoes, you're going to need other things.
That's exactly right. You can't golf barefoot unless you're golfing at John Daly's club or something.
Right.
Yeah. That's the thing.
Let me pipe in and say something too. There's been some really good comments, quite a few people, but Mike Aguilera, he has always got something insightful to say. And someone did post your website. Talk about your website, Paul, for anyone and by the way, people are asking in the chat, is this being recorded? We will put this on YouTube. Gina already posted a link to the YouTube version of this if you want to watch it again, or if anyone needs to pop off or whatever. And we'll also put this on I Love Marketing, the podcast. If you guys do not subscribe, make sure you subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. But what is your website, Paul? And
golfanything.ca or golfanything.com.
Okay. And that's golf anything.
Anything, yes.
Yep.
Not everything. Anything.
Is there a golf everything too? There's
I don't know.
You should probably get that just in case somebody tries to
knock yourself off. Yeah.
Exactly. Like what was that Procter & Gamble book, Dean, that talks about all the different brands that Procter & Gamble has?
It's called the P&G 99.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And like Crest toothpaste is what, like that single brand's over like 2 billion or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But you look at that's the overriding thing, the driving purpose of Crest is no cavities, right? That's the whole thing. So they've got, all of the different things, but they've got all these individual attributes that people who want to get their teeth white, people who want to tartar control, for no cavities, for sensitive teeth, for all of the different things. There's you can just narrow and narrow. And
there really is a lot to be said about marketing a tube of glop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Rick Drum said, Paul, I'm on your website. One observation: I don't know what problem you're solving for me. The first thing I see on the landing page is clothing before I see some sort of value you're bringing to the table that is foreign to the page. And then Eric wrote, how about partnering with companies with an email list who sell shoes but not golf shoes? I mean, there's so many. There's actually Janet. There's a lot of great comments here. So what I would say is, obviously save the chat, Paul, because there's a lot you'll be able to. I mean, you have plenty that's taking place right now just from this that'll give you a lot of food for thought. But Mike, why don't you? What's your sense of this? Because early on you started posting some really good questions and stuff, but now that you've heard some of this, what would you say?
It sounds like the problem he's trying to solve is breaking through the barrier of 5 million, which it sounds like based on the 100,000, the list, what he's doing, sounds like he could break through that just by either creating an outbound department. And some questions I have is, one, what is the average sale of the person? And then what's the lifetime value of somebody, say, over the last 3 years?
That's a great question. So our average cart value is about $100.
Okay.
Here's an interesting stat. Non-members, people who are just customers, are the lifetime. So lifetime value in the given 12-month period was, I think, was $160. Our members have a 8.1 more times propensity to buy the non-members, and their LTV is about $888 or $889.
Yeah. So I think it comes back to like, what's the first problem to solve? I love everything Dean's saying, but like for me, I go, okay, so the membership's proven itself. I'm not sure on your website, the membership is a good enough gateway in. You have one pop-up. I'm not sure it's enough value. I think something of a video or something that really promotes it besides free shipping. I mean, I'm sure somebody wants the golf tip. I'm not a golfer, but I'm sure they want the tips or a video or something there. And so I would focus on getting as many on membership. Now, do you have an outbound department that's doing outbound sales at all?
How do you mean? No, I don't know. If I've been understanding what you're at,
like
question.
Somebody that calls existing people on your database to find out how their golf game is going right now.
No, we do not.
Okay. So, I think the new world, especially COVID, has pushed it where people are starving for connection. So if you could put an outbound department, I mean, you could outsource this, but every time somebody joins the membership, somebody's calling them to congratulate them, welcome them, and then starts, because one thing, I'm not a golfer, my partner is, and I watch two golfers and they just vomit golf talk for like ever. So if you could get someone on there and in between the golf talk, you're like, well, tell me about these shoes you're doing, or like you're not using like Walmart clothing to go golfing with your buddies or something. So you can increase sales there exponentially. And the last thing is, there's two more. One, do you have a formal referral program that's either in place or working now?
No.
Okay. So I think that's low hanging fruit to have a referral program that, and I think there's two types of referral programs. There's one that's like, hey, refer someone, you get something. And then there's the like charity program, right? The 1+1 model, the Tom Shoes, like for everybody that buys a pair of shoes or does something, I'm going to do something good for the world. So I would consider that. And the last part, if you're still convinced that it's really a lead generation problem, which I'm not convinced at all. I think based on your members outbound, to me, I could see 10 million quickly here, but affiliates, of course, are going to be quick ways. I would imagine Tesla drivers, Mercedes drivers, Genius Network members that work with people that could afford, or play the game of golf where they're regular, or groups like, Tiger 21 or financial advisors. I think there you're going to have a place where you have easy fishing ground without spending money on marketing. So maybe a couple points you could take from it.
Great. Thank you for the feedback. And one of the things that we heard many times is like affiliates and affiliate programs, but I mean, I have no clue how to do any of that stuff.
Well, let's do it. Like you could do it real quick here. One, you could just ask people in the chat bar, hey, does anybody know anybody that's golfers? Is there some way that we would be able to give them value? So I think you have an audience already here. And then the other thing is, how do you get buyers to buy more, understand how buyers think? So I believe surveying is, now outbound survey is going to be great because you're going to get that connection. But also just doing an email survey of what do you like best? What haven't you purchased? Have you seen this? Or whatever type of survey that gives you a little emotional intel into how they're thinking about you. And I also don't know based on your website, for me, it looks like any site you'd go to buy a bunch of stuff. So I'm not sure there's what we would call like an X factor positioning, something that's makes you very, very unique. Like, hey, our golfing stuff, you're never going to have to worry about like some crazy beetle coming through it, or, some crazy rash you're going to get from it, or we have sweatshop making it so I don't see that competitive uniqueness in there.
I agree with that. Totally.
You know what I forgot to do, and Mike and Dean obviously know each other. Mike, I didn't introduce who the hell you are and what you've done. So Mike has actually built, very big businesses. Give the quick bio bragging about who the hell you are and what you've done.
All right, cool. So I built a plumbing, HVAC, electrical business, took it from under $1 million to 32 million under 10 years. So I had 200 employees, 165 trucks, double-digit profit. I sold that in 2017. In 2014, I started a company called CEO Warrior, where we coached the blue collar space. In 2020, we did 40 million in coaching. I sold that company in 2020 to a PE firm. I'm still a shareholder. And now I own a company called Food Dog Group that pretty much my theory is in order to 10X anything, you got to 20X yourself. So I help people 20X themselves today. And then I have a company called Business Forge where we take equity in companies to help them grow and exit in the next 3 to 5 years. So.
Yeah, so I just want to give some context because he's super smart marketer and he knows how to build a business, and he's been super supportive of Genius Recovery and what we do in addiction recovery. So just cool dude. And he was posting a whole bunch of stuff that I thought, yeah. And when someone has some insight here, I mean, that's, I never try to make this around. Yeah, this is the easiest thing for me right now too. I just, Dean, what should he do? That sort of thing, Mike. And I just sit here, people think I'm smart. It's actually kind of funny. But yeah, so that's so Dean, go ahead and add to what Mike has suggested and stuff. How do you see it right now?
Yeah, I don't look at them as separate things either or. I look at you're going to drive all of it, right? So you're going to have the, what Mike's describing, of course, is some after unit strategies. And part of the thing that, is the sort of wisest thing you can do is separate them as separate units of your business, even just, the way you think about them. Not, you look at your after unit as the sole business. The only thing is to come up with ideas, just like what Mike was saying, that can further what you do with the people that you already have a relationship with, right? So through different product lines that you might expand, or different relationships, different people that you might affiliate with to introduce new things to your existing clients, to orchestrate referrals among those. I don't know whether you measure that as a separate thing or how you sort of approach the idea of generating referrals. So it's certainly an amazing way to to grow. Then the before unit, we look at that separately and think the best way to think about your before unit, and I'm speaking to everybody now because these things are universal in whatever business you're doing. The best way to think about your before unit is as a supplier to your during unit. So the job of work of the before unit is to supply new customers to the during unit, right? At a profit. That's really what it is. If you could have a, if you can kind of create a metric that, what would you be happy to, pay for a new customer? And that depends on, knowing the lifetime value of what your customers are, knowing what your margins are, your, how much you can allow to acquire a customer. Have you ever thought or looked through to see, like, what would you cheerfully pay for a new customer?
Dean, we haven't looked at it on that granularly of what we would pay for a customer. We've had numbers before. I think earlier you mentioned about, like, doing digital marketing, and if it was profitable, everybody, but that's short-sighted. We used to do the same thing. If we sold something for $100 and our margin was $50, 50% of it, plus the cost of advertising, as long as we made 1x, we were like, we gained a customer, and we thought, the number that we kind of came around was like 20, if we could get a customer for $25 and then convert them into a member.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that becomes then what you're in your during unit. The moment somebody buys for the first time, what are you deploying to immediately advance them to buy the next thing, to become a member, to continue on that path that's going to turn them into a long-term customer? And, looking at the things, one of the, if you have good margins on things, often one of the easy things is a gift card to to offer people. So I'll give you an example. So my girlfriend owns a studio here in Winter Haven called Amazing Brows and Lashes. And we built a list of thousands of women just within a 15-mile radius of her studio in downtown Winter Haven by offering people a gift card on for microblading. So microblading is a real popular thing that ladies do to get permanent eyebrows. It costs about to do.
Right when Dean is saying, Dean, you're starting to get a little fuzzy here right now, but is he locked for everyone? I mean, you're locked and we're just looking at your perfect
Paul is
buddy.
You're looking at my perfect eyebrows.
He is frozen and still talking.
I got it. Well, I got an in-house eyebrow expert, so it all helps. But the difference between $100 gift card and 20% off is nothing practically. It's nothing. It's the same exact amount of money, but $100 gift card sounds like I'm getting something, which is a really an interesting approach, where it's much easier to offer someone a gift card than 20% off on something to incentivize a now purchase. Because most of the time when people are doing a 20% off on something, they're saying, if you buy before June 30th, you're trying to put a deadline on it to speed up the sale, to get somebody to buy right now. But if they're not going to buy right now, but they're interested in microblading, that's still a valuable person to have, because maybe they're saving up to get microblading, or they want to do microblading. They want to do it in the future. They're just about to go back up north for the summer, but they're going to come back to Florida in the fall. You can grab and bookmark a future intention, a desire that you have, by downloading this gift card. And now we've got a list of visible prospects who live within 15 miles of her studio, who are 30 to 65 years old and are women and are interested in microblading. So much so that they downloaded a $100 gift card for the purchase of getting microblading, right? So that became the driver of building the list. And we were able to give away gift cards for under $2 on Facebook ads, So, you spend $2,000 to build a list of 1,000 ladies that's the core of her business now. Every week she sends out email to them, offering all of the things that she does with her super signature. She's been able to grow the spa, continue to add new machines or equipment. They've got all these facial devices and things that they use that cost thousands of dollars, but they're all enhancing now all of these ladies that they serve from the neck up, basically, everything to do with your eyebrows and lashes and facials and permanent makeup, all of the adjacencies to what started out as just microblading. So when you look at, if you were to think about even a golf shoe, a gift card for, if you say you've got a 50% margin, if you give somebody a $50 gift card to use towards shoes, your cost on that would be $25 to build a new customer, just like what you were saying was your happy number, But the thing for people to download, it's such you get everybody, right? Anybody who's interested, I don't need new shoes right now, but I'm going to get this because I'm going to need them in 6 months, or I'm going to need them, these ones I'm almost ready for, or I do need another pair, or, whatever it is, that you're gathering people who are doing that. Now that's just one thing, but information is another way. If you were to put together even the summer 2022 golf shoe catalog,
Yes.
that information is a great thing, where that in combination with a gift card, or even if it's a $20 gift card or a $10 gift card or whatever it is, when somebody downloads a catalog, I've discovered that catalog is like a magic word. We were doing I've got a client who does bathroom remodels and in Miami, and we were doing ads offering a kitchen or a bathroom planning guide, a bathroom planner. And we were generating leads for about $2.40 for bathroom remodel leads. But we switched to the 2022 bathroom vanity catalog, and the leads went to $1.30. Wow. Same audience, same, sending them to the same people. But what I've really discovered in that is that a catalog has objective data, objective information, right? It's not me trying to get them to, steer them towards any kind of a bathroom. A planner sounds like I'm not sure of what I want, but a bathroom vanity catalog gives me an economy of information that is going to be very valuable to me. You're going to get pictures. You're going to get a variety of choices. You're going to get all the technical specs and the prices. So instead of just an idea book or an inspiration guide, you're getting something, your people are, anybody who downloads, of course, a bathroom vanity catalog is the only reason somebody's doing that is they're in the market for a bathroom vanity. Same thing with anybody who downloads a gift card for microblading. The only use for it is to get microblading, right?
So Dean, does that look like you do Facebook ads and then you send them to a landing page where they have to put in their email address and then
we use the lead ads product on Facebook where they don't even have to leave Facebook, and Facebook auto-fills the form with their name and email and phone number if you want that, but they automatically fill it with the Facebook information that they have. So all they have to do is click the button to say, yes, I want, send me the catalog, or send me the gift card, or whatever you decide to offer, and you can offer, if you think about one of the ways that I would think about this as a lead generator, I separate, all they have to do is, I say, looking at separating the compelling from the convincing, if I keep my eye on the prize of building a list of golfers, that's who we're looking for. So now I would look at who else wants golfers. I did some work with a company in Canada that did party rentals, and party rental company. So, oh yeah, you're from Toronto. So this was McLean Party Rental in Toronto. So that at that time, it was the father who had built up the business. The kids were taking over. I believe they've sold the company now again. So, but this was in the late 90s, early 2000s, where we were working together. That they, I asked them, what's the best thing? What's your largest check, right? What's the jackpot thing that you could do if you could get any kind of customer? And they said an outdoor wedding is like the big ticket thing, because you get the tent and the all the furniture and the tables and the linens and the dishes and the porta potties, and not the luxury porta potties and generators and lights, all of the stuff. It's like a big ticket thing. But picking a party rental company is not a sexy thing. And it's not a decision that brides are in a hurry to make, right? It's like further down. If you take the timeline from will you marry me? Yes, to I do, that can be a year or 18 months of a timeline. And picking the party rental company is a long way down the list of priorities that you might have, right? But if we go upstream, what are the things that must also be true if you're going to need a party rental company to, fulfill your outdoor wedding? The base thing is that you're getting married and you want to have an outdoor wedding. That's the thing. So what we did was we put together a directory of 100 great places to have an outdoor wedding in Toronto. And we would advertise that in the newspapers, in the bridal magazines, there's a whole bridal subculture in Toronto. I mean, there's lots of
Huge
places to get in front of people, and it's not very sexy to advertise your party rental company in a bridal magazine, right? But when you are getting people who are just in the process of planning their outdoor wedding, I mean, it's pretty high on the list. As soon as somebody decides they're going to get married and they're going to have an outdoor wedding, the next thing is what's the date and what's the venue, right? Those are the two top priorities. So why not put yourself right up at the front of the line, knowing that we're thinking like a chess master here. You're not thinking about that we want them to use us for this, for their party rental company, but we also do get all the information. Now, we're able to turn that into a profit center because there are other people who are not party rental companies that also want to find brides early in the process, including the venues that we're featuring in the directory. Some of them want to stand out and have a feature ad in the publication. Florists, music, DJs and band bookers, all of that stuff that we were able to align with and turn the lead generation into a profit center. And that's where, when you think about the before unit, if somebody's outside of the logistics and the stuff of the during unit of your business, because if you're running a business that's doing $5 million, you're probably stretched with a team that's very busy there's a lot of logistics of running the during unit of a business, right? Yes. So separating it and having somebody only be worried about how can we get more people on the list, and having somebody who's a driver of the after unit whose only concern is nurturing lifetime relationships, orchestrating referrals, presenting, other ways that you can expand and deepen the relationship with the people who buy. Those are really, those are big strategy kind of decisions that you can make.
Right. It's funny you mentioned that. One year we gave away a free pair of golf shoes on Facebook.
Right.
I think we generated like about 6,000 leads.
Of course. And you think about that one thing, a free pair of golf shoes. Yeah. We did that. I worked with a summer camp in Toronto just a couple of years ago. We did, right before COVID, we offered a free week of camp and generated thousands of leads in the GTA. Right. Of people who now have kids that they want to go to camp. And it's just like, a huge explosion. So that's the driver, is getting new golfers in the before unit. But as Mike pointed out too, the big and immediate opportunity is getting the people you already have a relationship with to buy more, buy again. Right. Yeah.
I think we do a decent job of that part of it. Mm-hmm. We squeeze that. I mean, there is still some low hanging fruit, like he mentioned, 100%. getting more database is, yeah. And I
I
like all
sat
the
at
ideas.
Wimbledon, I may look at some of these experiences too. I sat at Wimbledon a few years ago with a friend who owns fuzzyyellowballs.com, which is a tennis instruction site, Will. And, I was in London because I was doing a Breakthrough Blueprint event. I do small, boardroom style events where we have 10 or 12 people, and we spend 3 days focused on applying the 8 profit activators. And I drive it all by sending emails saying, hey, I'm coming to London for a marketing mastermind, and we're going to spend 3 days applying the 8 profit activators. Would you like to join us? And fill the room by email that way. So here I am at Wimbledon with Will. I was explaining what I was doing. He's got all of these tennis players that he could do the same thing for them by offering experiences that people could do at major tennis tournaments.
Right.
Or you imagine, if you create a master's experience for all of the golfers that you have, or you look at all the majors or the Phoenix Open or the fun tournaments kind of thing, that you can create that kind of experience for people, high-end experiences, because you've got a list of 100,000 people. There's rich people on that list.
There are, yes, there are.
And so you start thinking, how high is high? Like, what would be the, Neiman Marcus approach or whatever, the cat, what could you put that would be like a high-end experience for people where they could, I did a golf trip in Scotland. I've done, 3 or 4 times, but the one that stands out in my mind is our 3rd annual once in a lifetime golf trip to Scotland. And that was we used a company called Perry Golf, which is like a luxury golf provider. They've got these coaches that are like private jets with 8 facing club seats, and they do everything. They organize. We played all the British Open courses in Scotland. We stayed in the best hotels. They handle everything, and that kind of you could, with somebody as a division of that, have an opportunity to do things like that. So Will came back, put together an experience for the DC Open he lives in Washington, and it was a $10,000 experience. And I forget how many people he had, but it was like a big hit that he put together. And he started doing those things now, the US Open, Wimbledon, Australian Open, where people could come. He'd set up an experience with a player, like a meet and greet or a clinic with Martina Navratilova or with the Bryan brothers or whatever. So you get tickets to the event, you get accommodation, they basically handle the trip there. And so you start thinking creatively about all the things that you could put together there,
Yeah. That's fascinating you said it, because we have friends like I don't know if you're a golf junkie, like with regards to golf, like technical, like shafts and stuff.
Right.
Are you?
I'm not really, but I mean, I'm an avid golfer. I love, but I'm not a technical
Right. So
I'm an 8 handicap. I'm gonna shoot between 78 and 82.
No. Okay. Right. So
I'm not interested. I don't have the discipline or the technical thing. I don't think that it's an incremental increase in my happiness if I was a 3 handicap, or I'm not able to put in the work to be.
So I don't really share this with a lot of people, but I have friends in the golf industry, like club fitting.
Yeah.
And shafts manufacturers like that. Have you heard of KBS shafts? KBS?
Yeah.
So KBS, he's a personal friend of mine.
Oh, wow.
So I was thinking, and they're all personal friends, like giving an experience, that a club fitting experience, like, hey, for X amount of dollars, you get to meet, Kim from KBS Shafts, you get to meet Mark from Cool Clubs. For X dollars, you get a fitting, plus you get a new set of clubs.
Yeah.
Plus a golf,
you start thinking about what that is. I thought about in Toronto one year, I met someone who was a regional guy for the golf. What's the golf store?
Golf Town.
Golf Town, right. And I thought about Golf Town should sponsor like the Toronto's Greatest Golfer competition, like the Big Break on the Golf Channel. And that's just an idea that only takes somebody to drive the idea. I mean, you've got the list, you've got access to everybody. It's like it would be, a profit center. It could expand. Nike Toronto, when they came to Toronto, they set up these Run TO groups where they did a series of 5K races, but they built a list of 25,000 runners in Toronto, right? Like avid people who were run enough that they would compete in a 5K.
Right.
And that's where you start thinking about, you're separating what I call the compelling from the convincing. The compelling is just getting them to raise their hand for their own self-interest, and then convincing them to buy what you've got.
So Dean, how about like a webinar? So if we had like the founder of KBS, like we had like a webinar, put it on Facebook, and people can sign up for the webinar. Is that a sound idea?
Yeah, perfect. Like all of those things. I mean, you can live stream anything that you could imagine. You look at the Golf Channel, and anything you could set up those things, anything you can stream. There's nothing stopping you from doing any of that. Now you've got a built-in audience, and that's where driving and growing that audience is, the big opportunity. Yeah, you're gonna be able to incrementally. You could probably double your business just focused on the during and the after unit, but to really grow it, really like truly expand it, you've got to have a dependable accelerator pedal that you can add new people and build the universe,
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of great ideas.
Let me say this, and then we'll do a commercial break to pitch everyone on my new book that doesn't come out till November. But all right, so here's Mike said something earlier about you helping build the person into who they need to become in order to do what it is they want to do. And are you going to be here at Genius Network, Paul, tomorrow and the next day?
I was planning to, but I have to fly out for an emergency back home, so I had to reschedule my flight.
Gotcha. There will be more. Here's what I would suggest. There is a just huge knowledge base of useful ideas from the chat alone, and that people have posted. And so the seeds have been planted in your head. There's lots of things that have, this is kind of like drinking from a fire hose sort of thing. Mm-hmm. With everything that you've heard so far, everything you've thought about, where your mindset is at right now, what do you think you need to do in order to best leverage what Dean talked about, what's been shared, and what do you need to quit doing? Like, what do you need to learn and what do you need to unlearn? What's your thoughts on this?
What I got from it, Joe, it's crystal clear to me. The good thing is that we have a vehicle, like a niche, like shoes and content that we can create. But the takeaway for me is that we need a driver to execute it, to focus solely on that part of it. Mm-hmm. And then a driver for the after. So we have the before unit, during, and after unit, right? Yes. But the before unit is where we don't pay attention to. We're just so caught up in the minutia of just making sales every day and try to improve that. We totally abandon the before unit.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. You know what I would do? I would take the, you're in Genius Network, so I would download the My Genius Network tool, and I would do a Genius Network tool just on the people that you need in order to make all of the things that you want to have happen, because there's strategy, there's the technique, then there's the individuals that are going to help you do it. And and there's one thing too, like, I do believe there's a lot to be said about the saying, whenever you're a hammer, everything's a nail. So if you listen to a bunch of marketers, they're all going to give you marketing techniques on how to build and grow your business, right? And then my buddy Keith Cunningham has the great line where he's like, more people die from indigestion than starvation in business.
Mhm.
We just have so much going on. And we live in a world compared to, when I first learned marketing, as did Dean, when there was no internet, we live in a world of just, there's so many more different options of things that one could do in order to build a business. And it's like, if you have 1,000 options, you don't have any options. And so part of it is there could be so much to do that we live in a world of shallow. And there's a couple of comments from different people about doing webinars or doing, engaging with your existing prospects, your existing members, doing Q&A stuff. Someone talked about, creating consumer awareness guides and doing education-based things. And so, for instance, my girlfriend is a plastic surgeon, and she is a brilliant surgeon, and she's also introverted. So her patients love her. She has billionaires that pay her 50 grand a year to be the concierge doctor. And that's not for plastic surgery. It's for integrative health related stuff. And it's hard for her to do public speaking. But she's witnessing all of these different things that people want and how to help people. And she has knowledge. And so one of the things I'm helping her do is just start doing webinars where they're just simply Q&As, and don't even focus on trying to sell anything. Just talk to the people and answer the questions, and just get, for one, use it as practice. It's like one of the things I say, if someone wants to get better at something, start a podcast. I mean, it'll force you to have to just talk about things that you're trying to talk about, right? And like we're doing here today, it's way easier to deal with someone else's marketing problems than deal with your own. I mean, I could tell everyone here, like, here's all the shit I'm dealing with in my life, and people would give me really good advice. Some would give me bad advice, but for the most part, it would give good advice. And so if you started engaging with these people and just answering questions and educating them, like someone had suggested in the comments, consumer guide on how to buy golf shoes, right? Or a consumer guide on anything related to golf. Just the mere, anyone that would take just that and go deep with it with their clientele. It may be messy, and it may be awkward, and it may be weird, and you might have one person show up, or no people show up, or 3 people show up. But if you just keep at it and you just really go deep with it, you can take any of these techniques and any of these strategies and any of these methods and probably turn it into gold. But most people are not willing to learn how to be a miner, so they don't mine, and they step over gold all day long because they're not willing to learn how to mine it. And so the way that I look at all of this stuff, before I would always say, that's the best idea. That's what you need to do. That's the key that Dean said, or Mike said, or this person said, or whatever. But I'm now at the place where it's like, it's not what can you do, it's what will you do. And with your own, I really like things that are ELF. And some methods and strategies are way harder for some people than for others. And I mean, if you take Gary Vaynerchuk as an example, I mean, we've interviewed Gary before on I Love Marketing. And when people try to go out and be like Gary, but they're not built that way, their life just kind of sucks, because it's just, it's sort of a type of an attitude that some people, that's just not how they carry themselves. And so I take everything that someone ever teaches and whatever someone suggests, put it into your own, filtering system and say, yes, I can do it, but will I do it? And pick the thing out of all the stuff you've heard today, and you read through all the comments. I would literally print them out, physically print them out, and get a marker, get a highlighter, and literally say, that's an elegant idea. This is a gold coin. This is a silver coin. This is absolutely, this resonates with me. This one, I'm not sure yet. So it's a someday maybe. And just kind of go through and pick a couple of things that you consider elegant ideas, $1 million ideas if you go deep with them, and then, just pick one and go deep with it. And that's what most people are not willing to do. But I'll tell you, there's so much good stuff just in the chat here. And even people that are listening to this later or watch the YouTube thing, I mean, everything that Dean has talked about here is applicable to every business. Everything that Mike talked about is applicable to every business. So that's the way that I would do it. And you do want to put together a genius network, like, and for people that aren't familiar with the genius network, like I have a tool called My Genius Network, and you put yourself in the middle, and you can do it on a blank sheet of paper. I can even just draw it out. for everyone in a really, let me see if I have a marker around here. So, you just, you have yourself in the middle and you draw little boxes, 8 boxes surrounding a circle. And I'm going to make a really ugly looking one here just to show people that it doesn't need to be pretty. Hold on here, just bear with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've got a blank sheet of paper and I've got 8 circles. So you're in the middle, you're in the middle, and around you there's 8 circles, and you put the name of the person at the top, and on the bottom circle you put their capability or their skill. So if someone wants to write a book, you may want a ghostwriter, you may want an editor. If you're trying, you may want a website designer. And in this particular case, the execution of the idea is, it's not all going to be you. And if it is, it's unlikely that all of this is going to happen. It's going to happen. And so how many people you got on your team?
14.
14. How many of those people are, other than every single one of them, how many of them would be involved in your mind in marketing, directly involved in marketing?
2 besides myself. So 3 total.
2. So I would have those people listen to this episode. I would take out all the different ideas and stuff. And I learned this actually from Dan Sullivan. When Dan Sullivan comes to Genius Network, he's in my 100K group. He's been in my 100K group since 2017. He takes his notes, he takes his ideas, and then he sits down with his key people, either be it in marketing or his assistant, and he just says, here's my notes, and says, ask me questions. And they literally just take his ideas and they ask him questions so that he can get in a dialogue. Because I find for many visionary entrepreneurs, they're so fast and they're so quick in their thinking that they have a hard time telling other people about it. But if you can gauge it to where, let them ask you the questions and say, here's what it is, just so I'm clear, because people, it's that, people support what they help to create, and get into the dialogue with them. And I think that'll be, and I think if you did that, I'd love to see I'd like to take this episode, have you implement some things, and then, come back, 3 months, 4 months from now and do a report. And I want to see what the return on all of this is.
I will do it.
Yeah, because I'd love to see you double your business. And I'd like, and look, the economy's in a weird place right now, and it could get very, very bad for some people. And wherever there's anxiety, there's opportunity. And I think the people that stay on top of the marketing and stuff, especially, like I launched my business helping service businesses during a recession. And I remember, and we've been through another recession during the period of time, because I've had my marketing company since 1994. And it's interesting because the people that would just stay really in touch and bond with their clients would always do well in the middle of a recession compared to their competitors where they just didn't. And so there's a lot of great opportunities to bond with people. And then the last thing I'll mention about from a marketing thing is Gary Halbert would always say to me, the difference between being rich and being broke could be one good sales letter.
Yeah.
And, if you just craft it, and that sales letter doesn't always necessarily mean they have to directly buy something from you. It could be, read a book. It could be join a webinar. It could be visit this site. It could be take this survey. I mean, there's many, listen to this podcast, and it doesn't need always to be in the form of a written form. It could be audio, it could be video, and it could be shareable. It could be something. So, referrals is an example. It's a huge part. Like Dean, Mike mentioned the thing, do you have a referral program? But, Dean Jackson in his past life, he created all the marketing for a real estate company that, Joe Stump was the founder of, called By Referral Only. And I mean, we've done numerous episodes on I Love Marketing about going deep with referrals. So anyone that has watched this or is new to this, go do a search on ilovemarketing.com or wherever you listen to podcasts, and just pick episodes that specifically talk to any parts of the before, during, and after unit, because we have just a smorgasbord of different specific niched trainings just on how to do that. So those are just my thoughts, and I hope that's helpful. And
It is. I do have a question for Joe and Dean and whoever else may want to participate tonight. Thanks for all the comments. I can't wait to download it and go through it. Is one of the things is that, okay, so we are capable of creating the content. That's pretty easy for us to do because we know it. The challenge is like, okay, where do we publish this stuff? Where do we okay, so we want to do a webinar with a wonderful idea. So how do we, like, the execution of it? That's where I am challenged. And when I get those roadblocks, I have a tendency, well, it's too difficult. I don't know how to do this. I don't do it.
Right.
Right. It's like our giveaways, we put them on Facebook, that's the challenge, is like, where do we publish, these things that we come up with?
Yeah, I think I think a lot of those things, you take this whole approach of get everybody on the boat, right? Get everybody on, and then you're being the cruise director and having all these activities, all of these things for the people who are on your list, that your metaphoric boat. You don't need to promote those events and things. It's costly to promote that to strangers.
Right.
Not the most cost-effective thing. Your only thing, I think, to be doing for people who are not on your list is isolating Profit Activator 1 and 2 just to get people on the list. The equivalent of the outdoor wedding guide or the catalog or the gift card or whatever it is, whatever is the winner of getting somebody on your list. And you can test, there's so many different ways to think about getting a golfer. You could have a thing of how to cure your slice, or how to any kind of things that are the big things that dominate the mind of a golfer. And once you get them on the list, knowing that they're a golfer, it doesn't matter. You can have so many different doors to come into the same place, but once they're on, then it's about all of this variety and all of the things that you're doing.
So if you don't mind sharing, so we come up with some content, how to cure a slice, or a consumer catalog to the shoes for 2022 or whatever that I mean. So where would you, like, if you don't mind sharing, so I can get a better clearer vision of, is that something you put on Facebook, or you put it
on Facebook doing, and you look at, there's so many different ways to slice this on Facebook. Luckily, golf is a huge category. There's lots of interests on Facebook that you can target. So you get a pretty good sense that you're going there, all the way down to micro targeting individual golf courses and only showing ads to people who are in the bubble of this golf course. We've done that in local things. I've got a client that does that with college campuses, where they only advertise within a bubble around, and we've set up some sort of sophisticated targeting, micro targeting things that because you can only do a 1 mile radius on Facebook, but you can also then abut exclusion groups. So you've got this little window that is just people within this 300 acres kind of thing,
So you're, go ahead. Sorry, dude.
Yeah. So that's all, like, and they're, talk about one person driving the before unit. You may have one person just driving acquisition of new emails.
Yes.
And that's really the thing, where if you can, that would change your business. If you can drive new people on, like, I bet you, if I said to you, would you like 50,000 new subscribers now, you would happily pay $100,000 or $200,000 to have those 50,000 golfers, because that they're going to turn into at least $250,000 in the first year, right? Your annual yield per subscriber is $50. So you could get them for 5, it's a 10x on your 1-year return. Yeah.
Would you say the primary source of lead generation would be Facebook versus?
I would be everywhere. Like, I mean, all the way, you want to get it as out of the box and granular as you can. I remember Snapple, when Snapple launched their mango flavor, they contracted with the Mango Growers Association to put stickers on 10 million mangoes that said now available in Snapple.
Wow.
So talk about a message to market match. I was playing at Celebration here in Florida, and my friend, not me, my friend went into the woods on one of the holes, and we were in there looking for his ball, and there was a sign in there that said, "Looks like you could use our help." And it was the golf academy at Celebration that was offering clinics and lessons. Because if you're hitting the ball in here, you need help.
Yeah.
And so I think any way that you can think outside the box, the more creative, you are about that, you could get very, very low cost opt-ins. And I would be looking for ways to make a profit just by getting people on there, right? Like if you put together the directory of, a GTA directory that was something just for GTA golfers, and that was something that you could, put, in conjunction with other people who are looking for golfers in Toronto.
Right.
You could do it so you could grow your list for a profit.
I like it.
Yeah.
I love this comment here. I'm grateful for these free events. I don't like being late, but I can watch reruns. At 77, I've launched my first entrepreneurial program for women over 60. Women 60 plus arise. I'm living my best life. That's from Susan.
That's great.
This is fantastic. So
I love it.
I love reading that. So we need to wrap up here shortly. Yeah. So here's what I would say. Paul, on a scale of 1 to 10, how useful did you find this?
10. No, that's not true. 11.
Well, thank you. And in the chat, if you could put a scale of 1 to 10, how valuable you found this as it applies to something that you can utilize in your own business, let us know, because we're trying to, we'll play around with doing more of these if we find them valuable. And you know what? These are great. Look, most of them are 10s, 8, 9. 10, 9. That's awesome. Bunch of 10s. Love it. Thank you guys. And yeah, Paul, like I said, please print out the chat, and the same thing with everyone here. There's so many ideas that people that have put in there that are so useful. And of course, it's hard to read them all when you're listening at the same time, but I'm doing my best. Dave, do you want to mention anything? What's your thoughts? Anything you want to share?
Yeah. I thought I threw it in the chat, but I think some of the lowest hanging fruit might simply be turning some of those Facebook ads back on, and you don't have to go back to 1 million like you were doing a year ago. There's literally 1 million numbers between 0 and 1 million. So I would suggest dabble with that again. They stopped working for my company completely. I was just throwing away money, and so I stopped mine, and I recently this year turned them back on, and they work just like they used to. So I don't know what was going on, but I'd suggest revisiting that. And then I also suggested maybe hiring a service like $98 Social or something, who I use. They'll post 5 days a week for you on your behalf for a very little amount of money. And golf's something that everybody understands. So they'll literally just pick different products and create posts for you, and you can review them and everything. So I think that might be some low-hanging fruit for you, because it looked like September is when you kind of killed Facebook, and you were posting multiple times a day, and then I didn't see any posts since then. Yeah. So that'd be my advice for, to look into that, because I think that might be just really quick, flip a switch and get some good results again, especially if your Facebook pixel's been tracking this whole time. Then you could do retargeting to anybody that's visited your site for really cheap.
Yeah, well, thanks, Dave. I really appreciate that. Yes.
Not that the tidal wave Dean and Joe threw at you wasn't enough to do, but I think that one might be really easy.
Now I got a side question before I get. How do I print this chat? Can anybody help me with
You
that?
hit the little three dots and then hit save chat.
Okay.
It's on the bottom, like where you were going
Yeah.
to type to somebody. You'll see three little dots and then it'll say save chat.
Where does it save it to? Okay, I'll figure that part of it out.
Okay.
And if for some reason you just can't figure it out, Paul, then just, you're a Genius Network member, so you'll get special treatment. Because most people we just treat very poorly unless they're in Genius Network. No, which of course is a joke, because we wouldn't be doing this shit for free for everybody if there was and here's what's funny too. It's like my team, we got Gina on here. Who on our team is actually on right now?
We also have Chelsea and Kevin and Eunice and CJ.
CJ,
Yeah. And who am I missing? Lauren Cortez. Yes.
Yeah.
And the rest of the team is on their way, actually.
And by the way, we have a Genius. Well, thank you, Eunice. There's Eunice, who's been my wonderful, lovely assistant for 27 years. People can't understand this because she looks like she's 27. But anyway, and I don't know why the camera's still stuck on you, Eunice. So you might as well start teaching us something. Eunice, what would you say about my new book coming out? Why don't you plug?
Oh my gosh. Well, what I say? Well, I'd say that all the feedback we've been getting about your book has been nothing short of phenomenal. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, so let's plug. Okay, and Dean, we're going to do some special, like years ago when we first started doing I Love Marketing. Episode number 29 was on how I develop relationships with other people, and that became one of the most listened to, downloaded episodes, and people just love that episode. And we recorded that, I think, in 2010, and which is the year we started I Love Marketing. It was episode number 29. Gina, if you could post that episode in the link, and if you could, Gina, post the website for the book. So my upcoming book, I don't have a physical copy yet, but it's called What's in It for Them. This is a binder. That's what the cover is going to look like. But it's called What's in It for Them. And it goes over the things that I have learned and discovered about developing relationships with people, how to avoid and put boundaries around narcissists and takers, how to focus on being a giver, not a taker. It's how to win the right friends and influence the right people. It's 2 years in the making, and I've got till the end of this month to finish any final interior changes. And one of the things I'm doing, I'm not putting any testimonials or any blurbs or anything on the book, in the book, from people that have not read the whole book, because there's a lot of famous people that will give book blurbs that don't read the damn book. And so one of my things to all my friends and colleagues is, I know you could say, I could get testimonials from almost anyone, but I'm only putting ones from people that have actually read the whole book. And one thing that makes me really excited, and it's kind of braggish, Eunice, maybe you have it at hand, or Gina, let me see, I might be able to find it in the text thread, is Stephen Pressfield, who wrote one of my favorite books, The War of Art. He actually read the book and he gave me can you find it, Eunice, and maybe we can post it? So let me see if I can do a search. Stephen Pressfield. Hold on. Let's see. And I know that, this is how I'm going to find
Joe,
it.
it's in the praise PDF.
Yeah, but I just don't happen to have it with me.
Oh, okay. I got it. So Stephen says, ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Stephen says, I'm always irritated by how-to books written by people who've never proved they know how to. Joe polishes What's in It for Them is exactly the opposite. I can tell you from 20 years of knowing Joe that he's an absolute master at establishing relationships with people he's in business with. It's called friendship and fun, and it comes from the heart. This indeed is the critical element above and beyond having a great product and knowing how to market it. That turns entrepreneurship into success and makes it fun. And Stephen Pressfield is the best-selling author of The War of Art and Turning Pro. And I'm going to post the interview you did with Stephen too, because that is still a classic, one of the best interviews.
Well, and I interviewed Stephen in 2003. It's kind of a bit embarrassing though, because back in those days, the way I read I listened to it and kind of cringe. You can post it anyway, go for it. but it's like I'm doing a new interview with Stephen. I think in like 2 weeks, me and Dan Sullivan are going to do an interview with Stephen Pressfield. He's an amazing author, and he's the book The War of Art is that's one book that I have read more times than, and I would recommend people download the Audible version of The War of Art. Stephen reads it, and I actually introduced him to Nightingale Conant years ago, and they're the ones that did that audio version of it. And so that version exists because of my introduction to him and Nightingale, and it's really cool. But can we play the trailer for my book, Gina? Because we just got that this morning. It's a draw shop video from Summer at thedrawshop.com. They do great whiteboard videos. And this is version 1, but we're going to do a new version. But we just got this one, and it's very short, so we'll play it. This is what the book is about. And then I just ask all of you, if it resonates with you, then go to the website and.
Are we ready?
Yeah, go for it.
There's no shortage of networking and entrepreneurship advice in books and on social media in today's world. But it's harder than ever to know what's authentic. To make matters worse, taking the wrong advice can result in superficial connections, transactional relationships, and unsatisfying interactions with others without any real rapport. Fortunately, as entrepreneur and marketing extraordinaire Joe Polish has discovered, there's a simple, though sometimes not easy way out that begins with one question. What's in it for them? In What's in It for Them, Polish faces the problem of personal and professional disconnection head on, offering entrepreneurs a heart and mind-expanding guide on how to deepen rapport and connect with others by identifying and reducing their suffering. Update Dale Carnegie's insights to win the right friends and influence the right people. Overcome others' intimidation tactics to find true appreciation in relationships. Build character for better results than capabilities can ever give on their own. Use basic marketing principles to find true love. Protect your efforts from the takers of the world, and much more, all to help the givers of the world thrive in business without neglecting their relationships. Early in life, Joe Polish's struggles with trauma and addiction led him to a disconnected life. After getting sober in recovery, he spent years developing his genuine and generous approach to building rapport and transformed from a dead, broke carpet cleaner to being dubbed the most connected person on the planet for his work with the Genius Network, one of the world's most impactful networking groups for high-achieving entrepreneurs. After 30 years of putting his own advice into practice, Polish now speaks to audiences all around the world and is surrounded by business leaders and billionaires he calls friends. Pre-order What's in It for Them today at www.wiiftbook.com and learn Joe Polish's one-of-a-kind approach to rapport building that you can use to change your life and the world, and discover a few cautionary tales along the way.
Well, there you go. That's our propaganda for the.
There we go. All right, I got to run. So I wanted to say bye to everybody, but I got to go. I've got a 4 o'clock that I have to be at. So
what are you doing, Dean? Where you going? No, I'm kidding. You can.
He's golfing.
You want to get the, somebody was asking about the 8 profit activators. Go to ilovemarketing.com. You can download the 8 profit activator, the breakthrough blueprint, breakthrough DNA report. That's right there on I Love Marketing. Read all about them, and let's do this again. I think this would be great.
Yeah, we will, of course. Thank
Awesome.
you, Dean.
Dean, thank you so much.
Thanks, Dean.
Yep, you're very welcome, guys. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you. And so, and here's what we're going to do. Like next month, I think next month we're going to have to do this on a different date because I think I'm going to be in Mexico during the 3rd Wednesday of next month. I think, is that the case, Eunice?
That is the case. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I don't keep my own schedule. I have no idea what's going on. But some people have asked. I've gotten some private chats. Some of you know that I bought with Jason Campbell and Mike Leone a 40-acre ghost town called Cleator, Arizona. And so, if you ever, it's very hot in Arizona right now, but we are in the middle of building out all kinds of stuff in this ghost town. We just filmed it in VR. We may be the very first ghost town to ever be in virtual reality. And we're going to be sharing all that kind of stuff with on what we're doing and how we're doing it. And I want to do some episodes specifically on the topic of what's in it for them, based on the book. And if anyone would like to get on the list, I think we have an opt-in there. We just threw up the website. My team's awesome. But what I wanted to say about my team is doing this is an example of what's in it for them. We really want you to get value out of this. If you've learned something that can help you in your business, use it. Share with us what you got out of it. And if you learned anything that would be helpful to any other business owner that just needs it or is struggling, or that you learned something here, go and share it. Because one of the fastest ways to learn anything is just to teach it to other people. And Paul, I look forward to having you back on and doing an update and seeing if you've added, a few $100,000 or hopefully a couple $1 million to your business here in a short period of time, and then share with everyone what we did and how we did it. And in the future, because this one I think worked really well, we're going to come up with a way to two things. One, start doing more hot seats, and I may launch I'm not sure how I'm going to do it in the form of a podcast, YouTube lives, Zooms, virtual reality, but I own the domain name hotseat.com. Nothing's on it right now, but we want to start creating really cool ways to do hot seats with people. And so that's the first thing. And then we're going to probably launch, not this year, but next year, we'll start doing I Love Marketing meetup groups live again. And at one point in time, when we first started I Love Marketing, there were over 100 different active I Love Marketing meetup groups all over the world. And people were meeting every day in different parts of the world related. And we had a whole format that Gina really was instrumental in helping with, teaching people how to run live groups. We didn't charge any money for it. We just shared with people how to do it. And, we'll see. I mean, I want to always keep as many things free that I can. And if there's other stuff where we have to get very involved, even though I personally spend several $1,000s a month just putting this stuff out there. And I don't do sponsorships. Maybe one day I will, but it's been 12 years now since we've been doing this, and I've never done a sponsorship thing. So we've paid hundreds of thousands of dollars over the last 12 years to put out this information to people without asking for sponsorships and stuff. So we do hope that people use it and they find it valuable and that they do share it with other people. And we'll keep doing it as long as I get a psychological reward from it and it's valuable. And a lot of people fund what we do with Genius Recovery. So if anyone's out there struggling with addiction or knows someone that is, geniusrecovery.org. Nothing's for sale there. It's just some educational resources to help people find different types of meetings, videos and things like that. And I'm going to be putting a lot of effort into more Genius Recovery stuff, including creating different programming in VR and making it free. So there's not a charge for it. So that's my passion project. And that's how I use marketing, and where I make my money is, different companies I have equity in, and Genius Network, which is our high level group. So that's my spiel. And Dave, I think it would be, I know a lot of people would probably benefit from what you're running with ELF, the ELF program. So if you want to tell people how they can get involved to find out about it, or maybe even me and you at some point, we do a session for everyone and just kind of give them a taste of what that program is, if anyone wants to join that.
Yeah, that would be amazing. The best way is just shoot me an email at Dave, DAVE, @joepolish.com. And then we can set up a time to have a phone call or a Zoom or anything, and no pressure or anything like that. Obviously, I just love to help businesses, and Joe's enabled me to have a platform to do that. And it's help fulfill one of my life purposes and passions. So thank you for that, Joe and team. It really makes a big difference. One final thought for Paul too is Joe always says that a genius can do anything in the world, but he does it one at a time. Make sure that you don't implement all these ideas and not track them really well. There's that line that half my marketing's working, I just don't know which half. So, you might want to do one and see how it's working before doing 10 of them. Because like Joe said, there's so many ideas from today's episode, and that goes for everybody, not just Paul. when I go back through my notes, I'm going to pick one and target, just that. So that's my final thoughts. But again, yeah, shoot me an email at david@joepolish.com. And and we'll have the new website up this week also.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, thank you. And Gina, can you one more time before we end this, let's put the replay link for this if someone wants to watch this on YouTube. And we will have this up as a episode in probably a couple of days or something on I Love Marketing. And that is it for now. So on behalf of myself and everyone, I hope you all found this valuable. Have a wonderful day. And I will see a handful of you at Genius Network tomorrow. We start Genius Network tomorrow. And if anyone wants info on Genius Network, it's for people that run at least $1 million plus a year business. Peace out. So have a great day, everyone. Thank you. And happy marketing.
Thank you once again. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Have fun and be well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joe. It's great. And Dean.
Thank you.
Paul. Fantastic.
Thank you.